And we are live on Saturday, January 7th, another Right Angle Sports release show here on RAS YouTube. North of 1,000, well north of 1,000 people here on the show, 1,162 to get the Saturday morning going. A very fun Saturday ahead. We have college basketball all throughout the day. Of course, the NFL doubleheader, a primetime golf tournament in Kapalua as well. So a fun day for everybody who's at home watching sports, betting on sports, and we will certainly hope to have a couple of releases here on the show today. Before we get going, just want to remind everybody who's stopping by for the first time, we have three options now with the setup procedure. I'm going to tell you to set up a game on the college basketball card. It'll be 10 to 15 seconds, and then there's three options now. The go, as always, you submit that bet immediately because it is going to move in a hurry. If you hear me say cancel, that means you're going to remove it from your bet slip. It is no longer a bet. And if you hear reverse, that means to bet the other side or total immediately within that game. Last show, we introduced the reverse, is to keep everybody honest from front running and jumping early. So there are now three options: go, cancel, or reverse, which we will utilize going forward. Before we get started with the first release, too, just want to encourage everybody to hit the subscribe button here on the Right Angle Sports YouTube channel. Supports the channel, but also gives you notifications for all of the shows that we do 30 minutes in advance. You will get the push notifications sent to your phone so you can hop in straight into the live stream. Good chance we might have another show later on today, so that will keep you updated with all of the shows as we go. With all that said, good to see so many familiar faces here in the chat, and we will get started with the first setup in just a couple of seconds. So get to your sportsbook, and we will get going here as we pull up the odds screen for this busy Saturday college basketball card. There we go. I said it one time. I posted the props for what words I might use here on the show. Got a couple of laughs here before we're going on Twitter. First setup of the day as we clear the board. We will go to game number. Getting everything in order here. We will go to game number 621, Alabama, Kentucky, over 150.5 at 1 p.m. Eastern. 621, Alabama, Kentucky, over 151.5. 150.5, pardon me. Alabama, Kentucky, over 150.5. Game number 621, 1 p.m. Eastern. Give everybody 5 more seconds to find and set up 621 Kentucky, Alabama, over 150.5. (621) Kentucky, Alabama, over 151.5 is a opposite. We're going Kentucky, Alabama, under 150.5 to start the day. Kentucky, Alabama, under 150.5 is a go. If you have the under in your bet slip, be submitting that immediately. We're going under 150.5 with Kentucky, Alabama. Let us know in the chat, as always, where you were getting the price, what number you were able to get. That was a bit of a messy setup on my part. We were bouncing around a little bit as this has been a game of much focus for a lot of people this morning. 150.5 for Steve at FanDuel, 150.5 for Selliot, 151 for Michael Clark, 51.5 for Rick Smith. John was able to get 150.5. Eduardo was able to get 150.5, 151.5 at MGM as well. Tim, 153.5 somewhere on the board, 151. Tony was able to get 150.5, and then Joe was able to get 150.5. We are grading at 150.5 on the under. To be clear with that, it is under 150.5 is the first release of this Saturday morning card. Moving on. We'll go a little bit quicker on these setups as we go through the card this morning. Obviously, a lot of games on the card, so we'll keep it to about 15 to 20 seconds between the setup and then whatever the determination will be on the games. Next game on the board, we will be setting up game number 719 UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly, over 124.5, and that is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 719 UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5, and that is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. We'll go 5 more seconds here. 719 UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. That is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5 is a cancel. We are not betting 719 Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. This is a cancel. We are not betting Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over. Moving on to the next setup of this Saturday card. We're going to game number 719 UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. Not a repeat. This is at 4 p.m. Eastern, going back to UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. You're setting up UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. 5 more seconds for UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. Cal Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5 is a cancel. We're canceling it again for a second time. We are once again not betting UC Santa Barbara, Cal Poly over 124.5. This is a cancel. Give everybody a few seconds here to reset before we move on to the next setup. Looks like we still have several people jumping the gun and trying to get ahead on these games. We'll see how we go throughout the rest of the setups. Moving on to the next setup of this Saturday card. We're going to game number 702, Furman, East Tennessee State, under 145. This is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. 702, Furman, East Tennessee State, under 145. And this is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Give everybody 10 more seconds. 702, Furman, East Tennessee State, under 145. .702 Furman, East Tennessee State, under 145 is a cancel. We're not betting 702 Furman, East Tennessee State, under 145. This is a cancel. Give everybody another couple seconds to reset as we move on to the next setup. Next setup is game number 701 Furman, East Tennessee State, over 145 at 4 p.m. Eastern. Setting up game number 701 Furman, East Tennessee State, over 145. .702 Furman, East Tennessee State, over 145 is a go. We are betting Furman, East Tennessee State, over 145. This is a go. Let us know where you were seeing the price, what you were betting. We saw Bryce with 142, 145 for MJ Sanders at DK, 144.5 for Jared Ruby, 144.5 for Michael at MGM, 144.5 for Hector, 144.5 for Seth as well. Looks like Tom was able to get 145. West Coast guy, always in the stream, 145. And we will grade this at 146. To be official, we are seeing a couple 146s in the chat, so we will grade it at 146. So for those of you who got 145 or better, those will be graded obviously better than what the release price was, but we will grade this at 146. 144.5 for LD Yanks as well. Brad was able to get the 145 too. So if you got better than the 146, which we will grade it at, you got better than the release on this one. Give everybody a couple more seconds to reset after that one, and we'll move on to the next setup. Next setup that we are going with is game number 671, Michigan State over 139.5. Going with game number 671, Michigan State over 139.5 for the next setup. Give everybody 10 more seconds on 671, Michigan State over 139.5. Game number 671, Michigan State over 139.5 is a cancel. We are canceling game number 671, Michigan State over 139.5. This is a cancel. Give everybody a few more seconds before we get to the next setup. Next setup for today is game number 672, Michigan State under 139.5 at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Game number 672, Michigan State under 139.5. This is at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. 672, Michigan State under 139.5 at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Six, 7-2, Michigan State, Michigan under 139.5 at 2:30 p.m. is a cancel. We are not betting Michigan State under 139.5. This is a cancel. If you have it in your bet slip, remove it from your bet slip. A lot of movement on the board this morning that I'm bouncing back and forth trying to monitor here, but that was also a cancel. So for anybody who was getting out in front of that, you are on a cancel for Michigan State. This is a tricky Saturday card, to say the least, here doing the show as we continue to move forward with the setups for a busy Saturday. Tricky show here. Next setup that we are going with. Game number 778. Citadel Wofford under 140 at 7 p.m. Eastern. Setting up 778 Citadel Wofford under 140. This is game number 778 at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Five more seconds on 778 Citadel Wofford under 140 at 7 p.m. Eastern. Citadel Wofford under 140 is a go. We are betting 778 Citadel Wofford under 140. This is a go. Seeing a number of 141s on the board, I suspect that people will be able to get, but let us know in the chat. 778 Citadel Wofford under 140 is a go. See 141.5 for Darren, 141.5 for Ed, 141.5 for Anthony. Joe Lupo sighting 140.5. Harrison got the 140.5. Ronald 141 at Circa. Tyler 141 at BetUS. Chance 141. Same with Mac, was able to get 141.5. Tim found that 141.5 as well. Same with Sean. We will be grading that one at 140. So again, anybody who got 141 or 141.5 is getting better than the graded number here on the show, which is always a good thing to see work out for these when you're able to get better than the release price that we are sending out. Continuing on with the next setup. We're going with 693 Grand Canyon Stephen F. Austin over 134 at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Game number 693, Grand Canyon, Stephen F. Austin, over 134, and this is at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Give everybody 10 more seconds for 693, Grand Canyon, Stephen F. Austin, over 134 at 3 p.m. Eastern time. Game number 693, Grand Canyon, Stephen F. Austin, over 134 is a cancel. We are not betting Grand Canyon, Stephen F. Austin, over 134. This is a cancel. If you have it in your bet slip, remove it from your bet slip. This is a cancel. Give everybody a couple more seconds here before we get to the next setup on the card. Next setup, game number 804, Cal State Northridge, UC Riverside, under 132.5 at 8 p.m. Eastern time. This will be at the bottom of most sportsbook lists. 804, Cal State Northridge, UC Riverside, under 132.5. 10 more seconds to find and set up. 804, Cal State Northridge, UC Riverside, under 132.5. $804, Cal State Northridge, UC Riverside, under 132.5 is a go. We are betting Cal State Northridge, UC Riverside, under 132.5. This is a go. If you have it in your bet slip, submit it immediately. This is a go. We are betting Northridge, Riverside, under 132.5. Alec finally got his Big West of the day. Always rooting for Big West schools. 132.5 is a play to the under on Northridge, Riverside. Looks like a lot of people have success on this one. 133 showing up. Michael Clark was able to get it. 132.5 for Tim. 133 for Alex. 133 for Ramsey. 132.5 for Joe Lupo again. 132.5 at Buckeye. 133 at 365. 132 for West Coast Guy. 132 minus 05 for John K at MGM. Alec got his wish too with the Big West. Got 132.5 on that one. 133 for Brian as well. Nick was able to get the 133 as well. Couple more seconds before we get to the next setup. We are going with game number 704, Hampton plus 4.5 at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Game number 704, Hampton plus 4.5 at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Give everybody 10 more seconds to find and set up. 704, Hampton plus 4.5. This is at 4 p.m. Eastern time. Game number 704, Hampton plus 4.5 at 4 p.m. Eastern is a cancel. We're not betting Hampton plus 4.5. This is a cancel. But we will go opposite with Northeastern minus 4.5. Game number 703, Northeastern minus 4.5 is a go. Game number 703, Northeastern minus 4.5 is a go. If you have Northeastern minus 4.5 in the bet slip, submit it immediately. That is a go. Again, a lot of front running. These opposites will try to reduce that as we go forward. 4.5 for Jordan, 4.5 for Joe, 4.5 for Bryce as well. Jared took advantage of that, got minus 4. We also saw a minus 4 for Horacio. Minus 4.5 is showing up. We're seeing a lot of 5s We'll see if we can grade that at a 5 or not. This is a messy setup and go on this one specifically, as we saw Circa and Chris move quite late, specifically on that one. And the timing on that was a little bit tricky. So a lot of 4.5 showing up. Carter got 3.5. We'll see what the 5s on that one. We'll have the official grading posted in the Discord as well as on the Twitter. But looks like a lot of 4.5s are starting to show up in the chat as well. Seeing Aaron with 4.5 as well showing up. Just got the text that we will grade this one at 5 for Northeastern. So Northeastern -5 is the official grading for that one. A busy show, obviously more viewers than we have had on any show in the past, as we were north of 1,200 for the majority of the show. A lot of back and forth with the market. This is what comes with doing a show when there's a lot of market influence for people trying to line up on the right side. So we have to keep getting innovative with what we can do. We have the opposites implemented, which are working. Again, it's not the ideal solution for everybody, but it does get a lot of people the lines more so than if we were just to sit and let these games get front run and jump around. So this may have been a frustrating show if it was your first time with opposites, but overall, it was good to see that a lot of people were able to get the prices that we sent out, in many cases, better than the prices on a couple of those. So we will keep balancing out and seeing what we can do. So I will have the full recap with all the official gradings posted on Twitter as well as in the Discord. Appreciate everybody for stopping by this Saturday morning. Enjoy the games, enjoy the football, and we will see you potentially tomorrow for another show. There's always the chance of another one later today. Chat to you then.